The second, or the seven rather, holy plan and holy work. This is the idea that reality is unfolding according to a plan similar to the type two, but the type two is more like the holy will. And now we've got the actual plan. Where is this all going? The holy design of reality and our participation in that design. Where do we fit? Where do we fit in the divine plan? What's our contribution? How is it that this is all moving somewhere and going to end or come to fruition in some way? And what's my contribution toward that end? But sevens forget that reality is already unfolding according to its plan, to the divine plan that we're already moving to, however you want to phrase that in terms of your eschatology. And instead, sevens begin to want to plan things. They forget things that are already just perfectly unfolding, and they try to overplan. They try to make things more pleasant, more optimal. So they're always looking to the future, to what's fun just around the corner. What's the next plan, the next adventure? What's the next fun thing that can be done? Trying to amp up experience to make it more light and playful and enjoyable. And of course, this is a wonderful gift to have a seven in the crowd that's able to make light of a situation when it's gotten too serious. But when it's over functioning, sevens can not want to go to any depth. They can kind of stay on the surface of things when it's really not appropriate to crack a joke in a time of a very serious moment, or when someone's really coming into the depth of their being to try to get scared and stay on the surface, to keep it light, to keep it fun, to keep it playful. So sevens have this sense of let me make light. Let me kind of flee to something fun and exciting to get out of this dreary difficulty. And so the strategy is I don't need to follow the holy plan of facing the difficulty of this moment, because the plan is that it's going to work out best and it's going to be light and it's going to be fun. And I'm going to force that plan. I'm going to force that wisdom on reality by keeping up and keeping light. So they optimize, they plan, they distract, they envision good times, making good times better. They anticipate the future, always keeping their options open. They kind of ridicule other people, especially if they're kind of being downers or party poopers. They'll kind of make fun of them, like, oh, these people are so limited. Can't they just get over themselves? This kind of thing. And they're really good at persuading other people to join in their fun times. The passion of the seven is all this is driven by gluttony. It's a desire to sample something new. It's an excessive seasoning of experience. It's kind of adding something, always adding something. It's like I was speaking with a seven recently about planning an event and thinking about having an Enneagram event, and he said, "Oh yeah, we can have the lecture portion, but we don't want that to be too boring. So then we can have some music afterward. I've got a great band, and if you want, we can add some spoken word." I'm like, whoa, 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 totally over seasoning this event. Like, there's no need for all this extra fun and excitement to amp up the positivity of the experience. Let's just let it be what it is. So this kind of insatiable desire to overseason, to overstimulate, to taste everything in life is a kind of gluttony. The virtue of the seven is sobriety, which is a constancy of purpose. It's sticking with what's here rather than fleeing off into the future, staying put to do the needed work of now, choosing the only choice that we've got, which is to follow this path that's unfolding. We don't need to go anywhere. Wisdom is already guiding us. It's a self-existing guidance system. The Holy Spirit is moving us forward. If we tune into that spirit of guidance and direction, we don't need to force our wisdom on the world. The gift of the seven is wisdom, which is insight into the larger divine plan and purposes which are unfolding. So this is an actual insight into that plan, and it's applying that insight to specific situations. So when one is bequeathed with the gift of wisdom, one is seeing life from the divine perspective, and it actually brings about a kind of healthy fear of the divine. This is the proverb that's the beginning. It's to fear God is the beginning of wisdom, right? Because when we actually see that we're called to be in this moment, no matter how difficult that moment is, and we see the fear, or we see the consequence of pulling out of that moment to go escape into another future, to feast on some pleasant imagined option that's coming around the corner, that actually we're disconnecting with our vitality, with our experience, with the source of our true fulfillment. And so we begin to actually healthfully fear the divine when we see that in operation. We begin to fear that if we do pull away, we're actually going uh, to make ourselves metaphorically sick. It's a bit like, I've got my piece of cake, and now I want to have that second piece of cake. And then, oh, that piece of cake, now I'm just disgusted with myself. Well, now once we see that, we begin to healthily fear going into that second piece of cake and just enjoying the one piece we had and moving on. So, the connection between the 5 and the 7 on the Enneagram is a line of connection. There's a strong line of connection between the gifts of wisdom and knowledge in the in some of the commentaries I read to Paul's letter.